Another day, another comic company is failing. You might not have heard of Scout Comics. Scout Comics actually was getting listed by Diamond. They have a bunch of comics coming out all the time. They seem to be on their way up, and they hired several industry professionals. Well, it turns out hiring is not exactly what they were doing. They were just chumping off of free work. And now this gets pretty interesting as yet another company has done this. We've seen a lot over the years. Now, we know that companies like IDW, underpay their staff, to say the least, and that's how they kind of stay afloat. But there are other companies that are just not paying royalties, doing bad deals, and they keep coming out, more and more of them in this comic book industry. It's very weird. It seems like everybody's just operating for clout, and it's a clout that never goes anywhere. Everybody just gets held down, and I don't understand why people just don't rebel against the structure and do something else. Well, we do over here. And of course, my name's John Delarose. I'm a #1 best-selling author and award-winning comic creator. Before we get into the news about what's going on in the comic industry, please check out my Subscribestar. This is a site right now, which is a Patreon alternative, and I'm trying to build something where we are just making our own comics. We're trying to pay our artists out of the funds here and try to make everything good so that you have monthly comics. And this is what I'm going to build here on this website, and I would love for you to get in on this. Support me here. Be an early adopter. We need about 10x the people to get involved, and of course, then we will have something super strong and super sustainable at that point. It also keeps the lights on at Fandom Pulse, helps me with my journalism here. Even if you don't want to read comics or whatnot, I would really just appreciate the support. We could use your backing. Thanks so much. All right. This is from Blue Sky, and of course, our good friend Mark Wade was retweeting this. And this is a thing that's not getting much traction. Comic creators warning about Scout Comics. Here it is. If you're a new creator, please avoid Scout Comics like the plague. They haven't paid me for a book out in over a year. Won't answer emails. We delivered a completed, profitable book, got screwed. Spoke with editorial director and implied we'd be blacklisted for complaining. I love this. This is how the comic book industry works, by the way. If you disagree with somebody in editorial, you're blacklisted. If you're in the wrong politics, you're blacklisted. If you say something, you're blacklisted. And we've seen this time and time again. It's a culture of fear that's been established by the Whisper Network that's inside of this, both in the mainstream media between Rich Johnson and Heidi McDonald, and of course the people who are in charge of these companies like Tom Brevoort, Heather Antos, and all the higher-ups in there like Gail Simone and others. They're involved in this stuff, and the blacklisting is very real. Now, I don't know if Scout Comics has this kind of clout, but the threat there, which is usually an unsaid thing, maybe got said out loud here. Very interesting. The CEO came in acting like he'd help. Now he's ghosting us too. It's like that at the top. You know why everything else sucks. I've tried for a year to work with these people. It's clear they have no intention of working with us, nothing resembling a partnership. I also got a single statement about the book sales and not a single one since. Absolutely shady practices in the comic industry, and this is actually more par for the course than you would think it is. We saw that IDW actually was having trouble with royalties last couple years, and we know why. Their company's having problems. There's another company, Aftershock, which was doing the same thing, hiring high-profile creators at that, before they were screwing them out of certain deals and the like. Now, one creator actually says that, he'd like to talk about this and address this, and he was actually doing it. And he's saying, please, still buy the books. I want you to just read my books. And this is the problem with the comic industry all the way around. If somebody steps out of line, if somebody doesn't want to do something, if somebody doesn't want to go with the program, there's 100 people who just are aspiring creators who just want to take their place and will work for pennies or for nothing in order to just get published. People are so hungry and thirsty just to be published and just to have that credit at Marvel and DC, or even to get closer to that in the hopes that they'll eventually have that credit, that it's such a terrible system out there. People need to stand up for themselves at this point. People need to assert their rights as creators and actually just go create something. You don't need any of these companies anymore. It's not a boon to be in the comic shop. It doesn't matter if you're drawing Batman's penis or not. You do your own thing. Stop living off of somebody else's creations and fan fiction and actually build your own sort of thing. And that's what I try to tell everybody who's aspiring to be a creator in this point. But here it is. Even though he got screwed by this company, even though he didn't get paid, he just says it. My goal is to one day be able to work for Marvel, DC, and IDW. Then in my heart, he is making it. I love tons of other publishers, but those are the big four for me. Oh my gosh, see, they just want to work on these properties and do this fan fiction, and that's what gets you clout in the industry. That's what makes you a real comic book creator versus somebody who's, quote, not. That's insane. Can you imagine that in any other industry? It doesn't even happen in regular books. The people who work on Star Trek books or whatever are kind of seen as secondary authors because you're just doing your fan fiction in somebody's world. The people who are like the authors who actually mean something are the real creators who actually create something. The comic industry is ass backwards in that regard. And of course, that's what happens. This is why Scout Comics, places like this, start to exist and start to not pay their talent, because that clout structure means more than anything to so many of these people. Just end it. Stop aspiring to be part of these companies. They're not good for you. They're not good for other creators. They're not good for fans. And that's why we have an independent movement. All right. Like I said, I'm doing something different and we're building it on Subscribestar right now. Please sign up for this today. We'd love to have you there and appreciate everybody who's there. Leave a comment down below with what you think about this. Hit that like and subscribe button. We will be back soon.